Hello, Aries. I am Ulrich. I'm a Lenormand card reader, but this time we will use a financial deck for your card reading. The deck contains 44 cards, and the laying is done with 3 cards, which you see here in front of me. You will see also 4 objects here in front of the table on me, meaning we will do 4 card readings for each astrological sign for the month of July 2021. And this one is for the sign of Aries. From the 4 objects that you see here, you choose one or you pick one that you think relates best to your personality, or you choose one you feel most comfortable with. This object of your choice, it should or it will relate the best to your current financial situation or the advice that you are receiving from the cards regarding that financial situation. Of course, you can watch all 4 videos for the Aries sign, and after you watched all 4 videos, you can then decide what symbol or object is fitting the best to your personal card reading or financial situation. The matches that you see here represent the fire element, the aerosol sprayer represents the air element, the piece of stone represents the earth element, and the shell that you see here represents the water element. So, Aries, there we go for your card reading for July 2021. Hello, Aries, and welcome to the matches group. As you see here, the matches, they relate to the fire sign. So we will do this reading here for this group. So the first card you see here, it's related to love. So most of us love their partner and their children and friends around them very much, and also their family. And maybe by means of showing your affection, you are spoiling them. This card represents that you spoil them. You give them a present, an amount of money, you buy them dinner, you buy them takeout. It's all to express your feelings of love towards them that you give as a gift to them. And then a birthday comes up, and year by year, you try to find the rare pearl that will make their eyes shine one more time. But this card tells you that love cannot be bought. Rather than shopping around in malls and thinking how to please your loved ones, this card tells you to take some time alone with them in private. It tells you maybe you can adjust your working times if that is possible, but it tells you to show interest in them by valuing them with your time. Because as we know, in our current society, time is the most precious thing that exists. It's more expensive than gifts. It can also not be related to money, because time is the most precious. This card reminds you that the memories that we carry with us and the anecdotes that we have through the years and past activities with loved ones are much more valuable than objects or toys or presents that we give. The people tend to remember those moments of closeness very well. So this card tells you to be gentle with yourself and see the positive impact that will come from it. It tells you it's not only your finances also that is meant, but the depth of your relationship you need to sharpen out with those around you and your loved ones. Sometimes if we love deeply, the rest follows. The second card we see here, it means visual reminders. What does this mean? Well, despite our best intentions or your best intentions, maybe sometimes you neglect the question, if you want to buy something, why you actually buy it. It's like your memory is playing games on you when it comes to reflect on the real necessities, the importance of the items in your basket, and Then you look at your financial status or your bank account, and you realize that it actually has caused you pain because you spent superficially again. This card tells you, how could you do it again, Aries? So this card, a trick that this card can learn you is to put visual reminders on your credit cards. It also tells you to observe and control your habits for buying and spending. Maybe sometimes you have tendency to overconsume because you don't mentally validate your shopping. You don't make the distinction between essential needs and gifts, maybe here related to loved ones. So also if it's not related to the loved ones and it is about your buying behavior, it asks you also to ask your behavior online. For instance, if you buy a lot of stuff online, a good trick can also be, one of the tricks can be that on your credit card, you change your password and you put something like truly necessary, reasonable, passwords like that. Passwords that actually make you think before you make the purchase, before you confirm your transaction. And on the card itself, in the corner, you put like with a sticker, you put like a small reminder. You put a symbol, you put something that reminds you you're gonna do it again. It tells you that you need to change this kind of behavior. And if you use the visual aids, it will be a very big help for you. Of course, you need to change these visual aids time to time because you will get used to it. So this card asks you to approach your expenses and your consuming behavior in a different way. It asks you to change your tendencies and to reduce your superficial spending. The next card we have here is paying cash. It's actually related here to the next card because this card wants to ask you, this card asks you to change, but this card asks you to radically change the way you pay. Meaning, this card suggests that you go to any bank machine and you actually withdraw the money in cash. You put it in your wallet, you go to the store, and if you buy something, you actually touch the money. This is like a psychological process because by the way you spend, you see actually the money disappearing out of your wallet. It's a certain method. So in that way, you can regain better control of your finances by this cash payment. So as we hand over money to the cashier, it brings us like, it's like, maybe pain is not the right word, but it's make us painful thinking. It's like painful, oh, we pull it over out of the wallet and we pay it. It's like it makes us think 2 times. So you see these banknotes actually disappearing out of your wallet. So unconsciously, you will make more easily and quickly connections between 2 payments, which you will prevent from happening because they will probably be about unnecessities. I want to add that maybe you don't realize this, or maybe you do, that banks and traders want us to gradually eliminate paper money. Why they do this? Well, as you know, we live in a society that is based on consumption, and it's expected from everybody that we consume every year more and more. So it's constantly increasing. So connect this to your virtual payment and you have no actual sense of the money, because if you use the card, you lose track of these expenses. But if you use cash money, you actually experience it. So this card, it tells you to take charge literally of your wallet and use it in the old-fashioned way. It tells you to pay cash for your purchases for the coming weeks and months. It wants you to try this new approach out so you can regain the value of your money. And this card asks you if you're really up to that task. So we make the conclusion here. The first card tells you you can love your loved ones, but they will appreciate your valuable time more than the expensive gifts. The emotions are more dear and expensive than money or any gift can buy. This card tells you to control your spending habits. And if you feel an urge, try to these methods I explained earlier using visual aids, putting on your card. If you pay with the card, and this card then, as you remember, it connects fine with the other one here. So this card tells you as an aid that you can actually use the old-fashioned way and pay cash again, and it will improve your financial situation. So, Aries, for the matches group for July 2021, this was your card reading. I hope you enjoyed my approach. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Hello, Aries, and welcome to the people of the Stone group or the Earth group. So, as you can see here, the first card that we have here, it's acceptation. We need to accept our current situation. This card asks you if you are a person who are always on the lookout for new positions. Maybe you are always on the lookout for improving your living conditions or on the lookout for new promotions for whatever the reason may be. Maybe this brought you in a certain situation today, and this card tells you you need to accept the situation for what it is today. The point being, if you're in a certain financial situation that is less positive, you are maybe exposed to the risk of economical inflation, or you need to manage your finances in a different way. This card asks you to realize that management of your finances is imperative now. This card tells you also that the solution is not in increasing your income, but that you need to learn to live comfortably with the money that you gain or that you earn. The point being, not more, but better. I explain. For instance, if you buy an object, if this is a bigger object, let's say you are planning to buy a car, some official dealers or second-hand companies offer very extended warranties. Sometimes on a car for 6 months old, you can get discounts $5,000 to $10,000. And even the warranty of the factory sometimes stays as it is. So this is like an approach like that. If you buy something, try to find it in a second-hand store. And if you buy an article that has a very high expense, try to find it or try to buy it in a different way. It's called not more, but better. We cannot all aspire to the American dream of abundance and wealth. So sometimes we need to adjust, and we are still happy and we are still in a very good position and our goods are very high quality, but we adjusted ourselves to the situation. So if you are in a less good financial situation, this card will also keep you away from financial troubles. It warns you to be careful. It warns you that you need to think. It keeps you away from the financial abyss. Some people also think that money is associated with happiness. Well, in most cases, this is not like this. Money don't make happy, and you will need to accept your current situation as what it is. And there will always be people who are better off than you are, or than anybody is. There are always very rich, very poor, in between. So there are always people who have it better. You need to understand you're in a certain situation now, and there are there are people who have it much worse than you. Bottom line, it's not what you earn that matters, but how you manage your source of income. You must make a balance between the income, your expenses. So whatever your income or savings might be, it is your actions that determine if you are short of money or not. So this card tells you to spend within your own means. The next card is the card of evolution, that we progress in our life and that things around us progress with it. What does this mean? Well, progress is a part of life, and we all evolve over the years. The decades followed and things are not as they were before. Nobody, for instance, Corona, nobody could expect that we are where we are now. We could not imagine 5 years ago that we are in this current condition. If we extend this 20 years ago, you would find it have found it very unusual to pay a large amount of money for an electronic device. Let's say the money that you spend now on your cell phone, or the money that you spend on your Android phone. So things have changed, they have evolved, and some things actually became needs, and these needs increase. This card tells you to eliminate what you don't need anymore. What was essential before in the past, maybe you have subscription on TV channels, and every time you catch yourself that you watch a movie online, or that you are busy online. So you don't actually use the TV channels anymore. It's a small amount of money every month, but it tells you you can eliminate things like that. You have a favorite magazine, from a car, from fashion. That tells you maybe if you take the subscription online and you no longer take the paper version, maybe you can save 40 to 50%. This is what this card tells you. You make small savings and adjustments from things that you no longer need. And this will amount up to a serious amount. Also, if you have a landline in your house and nobody calls you on this landline anymore, what is the purpose of it? It serves nobody. So this is what it says to you. Stop these expenses, review your monthly payments, see all the agreements that you have made with companies, they are still the same. They didn't increase anything without your knowledge, because some companies tend to do so. So control your invoices. If they changed things that you don't need, just dispose of it. So this card tells you adjust your spendings on the current times and the current situation. The last card here, it says live beyond your means. What does this mean? Well, this card tells you actually maybe the last weeks you have spent a lot of money. The reason may be different for all of us, but here for this card laying, it says that maybe this group has spent a lot of money coming from credit or debit cards. This card suggests that you need to be careful that you are not going in the road of living beyond your means. It's better, this card tells you, that you don't spend money that you don't have. Why? Because eventually, if you don't, you will end up with your head against the wall. The more your debt increases or deepens, the more effort and labor you will need to do to get out of it. So if you do purchases, you need to realize the real cost of these purchases. If you don't pay it completely, the negative side of a credit card or a debit card is the enormous amounts of interest that are charged to the customer. You need to realize this. Banks charge enormous interests if the amount that is open is not paid back by the end of the month. This is what this card tells you. If you repay only the minimum, you will get into these high interests. This is not good for you, and the only one who is served well by this is your institution or your bank. They are very happy and they smile. You, on the other hand, are not so happy. So you need to try to pay your balances due in full, or try to balance yourself as soon as possible. Because you are, as I said, you are not paid, you are not served with these interests. It has no added value for you. It causes you financial pain, and you have no, it brings you nothing. Also, this card tells you, it's also a warning card, that none of us is safe from unexpected expenses. So let's assume you're in your credit or in your debit card and you're on the limits. For some reason, you ended up there, but you're sure the next month you're out because you're expecting a bonus or whatever. The problem is, the next month you have unexpected expenses. Something breaks down in your house and it's from great importance. Let's assume that your computer or your laptop catches fire, and you're obligated to buy the new device. So you did not incalculate this. So this card is also a warning for that. It warns you to safeguard yourself. The other thing that this card tells you is, and it asks you if you are living beyond your means. So you are the only one who can answer this question. So what this card asks you is to go on an adventure. An adventure that is actually very simple. It asks you to go on an adventure with your credit cards to balance yourself. So we summarize here now. If you are in a certain financial situation, you need to accept where you are, and you need to realize that money is not associated with happiness. Spend your money within your means. Don't focus on advancing financially. Just focus and spend within your means, and you can see later on. This is the evolution that we say, that the world evolutes. We need to adjust, try to get rid of things that you don't use anymore, subscriptions, unnecessary things that maybe you didn't even notice that are there, that only $30, $50, $100 a month. Just try to get rid of them. 10 times 100 is 1,000. The last card here is, it asks you if you live beyond your means. If not so, this card asks you to, if you would have debts, to balance you, to be prepared if something unexpected, which does not mean it will happen, but it asks you to be careful and to be preventive. That is what this card laying for the month of July says to you, Aries, from the Stone group or the Earth group. I hope you're happy with my card reading for this month. If you do so, thank you for watching and see you next time. Hello, Aries, and welcome to the Aerosol or the Air group. So we start here with the budget card first. What does this mean? Well, achievement financial fullness requires, of course, a form of leadership and efforts. For some, this is feasible work. For others, they can do without any problems, and they follow a serene and secure plan. For others, it's an impossible task to achieve. You need to decide for yourself or determine for your side which budget type that you are. If you are one of those people who have the habit of budgeting, maybe you're in a difficult situation here, this difficult financial situation here. Maybe you need to ask yourself, how did you get there? This card asks you, if you are in a difficult financial situation, to search and work on your weaknesses. Maybe you overestimated your own financial plan in somehow, and you, for instance, forget the unforeseen. Most people who do budgeting calculate minimum 10% in for things that go wrong. The biggest flaw of people who manage is not to inculcate unexpected expenses. They don't foresee shortages, although we know they always happen. So this card asks you to budget and foresee. On the other side, if you have never been able to budget, well, maybe this card tells you it's time to give a swing at it, to try to find an alternative, to try to budget. One instance is one example is, like, for instance, you pay always cash instead of paying always with credit cards. This card can also urge you to pay more cash. You withdraw money out of the machine and you put it in your wallet and you pay cash, and you have a closer contact with your money. This card tells you, if you don't use any kind of method, it might be possible in the future to pay all the things that you need. You might even get in more problems. But this is not necessarily said. This is more like a warning card, a card to help you. You need to find out which method for payment and for budgeting is best for you, so you can stay on the right track. But the card next to it actually is quite a good card. This is about receiving and giving gifts. But also it's a card that tells you not to be too generous, because sometimes during holidays or during birthdays, we give in excess. This card also tells you to be creative. What you make yourself and originality is paid. It pays itself back. You don't need to search for it because you do it yourself. You are generous to yourself by not penalizing your wallet. This is what this card says here. However, if you do yourself, you know you need to plan it in. But eventually it's worth the effort, and people who receive personal gifts tend to appreciate them very high, because it's like you put personal interest and personal time in them. Even if it's for a loved one or it's for a friend, they will appreciate your gift more if you make it yourself. So for instance, I give you an example. You can make some home cookies. You can make you can decorate here, like you decorated, like you see here, some jars with a nice ribbon. You can make some jams, preserved foods in glass in general. This is what this tells you, like to be original, to make, to prepare things yourself. If you pay, if you give a gift to people. If you are not this type of person, and you still need to spend, maybe if you do the shopping yourself, you make some kind of arranging, organizing, so you can budget for each person separately, and you have a list of your payment before you actually arrive at the cashier. So you have an overview already. What you also can do is, if you make a certain jam or a candy or whatever, you buy some things in bulk and you go in some kind of production of your own, to drop the price. So this, if you apply this approach, it will prevent you from getting carried away by compulsive shopping and draining your wallet. So by boosting your creativity, this card wants to stimulate you to budget. So the two are connected. The next card is repayment of debts. Mostly if this card appears in a group, it means that there are some debts left, or that there are payments to be made that have interests on credit cards. So maybe you have accumulated several debts. If you did so, this card asks you to make up a repayment strategy. The first thing not to do is to get discouraged. It's by small amounts, small steps that you get there. So don't give up the whole game before you even started. Secondly, make a list of your loans on your credit cards and write them down and check the rates, because not all your credit cards will have the same rates. Then, if you see all the rates of your debts, if you have them, establish priorities. You must first preview and pay a minimum required for all your regular bills, because you cannot have that they disconnect your electricity that is essential, or that you cannot buy food anymore. Then, if you can, administer additional amounts to the accounts with the highest interest percentage. So you need to get rid of debit and credit cards with very high rates, with very high interest rates. So it's best that you focus on those first, because those cause you financial pain. So the more cash you pay back on these, the less credit charges you will pay, and the more money you will have available for the other capital, for the other arrears. So finally, when you are in debt mode, if you are, you must stop spending money and take charge of your financial situation. So here this card tells you you need to pull yourself together if you have, and when you have reduced, excuse me, when you have reduced your debts, you will be able to restore a less restrictive lifestyle, because this card also tells you maybe you need to restrict a little bit. So it tells you you need to don't put your hand in the sand, just start to calculate and see what you can pay back. So we make a summary here. The first one is budget your current situation, foresee the unforeseen, if you can, if you're not yet in financial problems, adjust to your current situation, find an alternative, and find a method that is right for you, so you can budget yourself and pay your debts or your shortages back. Here, if you're confronted that you need to buy gifts in this in a difficult period, and you have no choice for reasons, try to be creative yourself and save money that way. If you cannot, buy in bulk for your presence. It sounds serial, I know, but in that way you can balance yourself. And the last one here is that you need to take care of your debt. The debts starting with the ones who have the highest interest rates. So that is what these cards tell you. So that is all for now. Aries Air Group, thank you for watching, and see you next time. Hello Aries, and welcome to the shell or the water group for the sign of Aries for the month of July 2021. So the first card we see here is the card of youth. You probably know the saying, boys will be boys and girls just want to have fun. So probably you used it 1 or 2 times to justify some financial recklessness in the past, but here the question is asked, at what cost? It asks you if you are not suffering from the impact of outbursts that you had before. It doesn't necessarily speak on age, it's just in general for everybody. Cash management and optimization, it requires a certain form of maturity. In general, the awareness of this is accentuated and perfect as we get older, but sometimes we can have some setbacks and we don't have everything under control. Sometimes it's part of the circle of life. However, some of us are able to control their consumption habits and their outbursts better than others. This card asks you to think, if you compare where you are with your peers, what is your current situation? Of course, we need to incalculate everything. If this relates to a business, your situation can be different, but it just asks you the general idea. If you compare yourself to your peers, are you happy where you are right now? This card asks you if you are already mature, do you still have spendthrift, or do you already control more the outburst? We are never too young to be financially mature and never too old to change our financial behavior. So if you have the advantage of youth, well, the better for you. Maybe you can be wise. If you're older already, you can do the same thing. But the card next to here, it speaks a little bit different. Normally, this is a quite positive card, but the card next to it here, it represents difficult financial times. It's one of the less positive cards of the deck, meaning it represents hard financial time, or actually it can represent in some cases bankruptcy. So the question is, have you spent too much money? Have you been reckless with your money? Have you had a bad financial time in your business? It's possible also due to circumstances. This card tells you probably you have hard times. Maybe not only by spendthrift, but maybe it can also be related to a business. So what to do if we have this card? Well, maybe your financial situation, it torments you. You wake up in the night now about the money. You probably have reached a point of no return. If you are not yet there, you should consider options offered to you. See a bankruptcy specialist, see somebody who can help you, a banker, for getting out of this difficult situation. Maybe you can ask some relatives to help you, to support you for getting out of this, if it's not a bankruptcy, for getting out of these financial difficulties. However, but before you sign anything, any kind of contract or agreement for paying your debts back, inform yourself well and consult more than only a professional. Evaluate for a few days, for a few weeks, the choices that are offered to you, advantages, disadvantages. Make sure you understand the impact that this is going to have on your life, on your present life and on your future life. Evaluate the whole situation and the choices offered. For some, bankruptcy or difficult situation is easy to wimp off. For others, it's a very difficult time that they are enduring. However, financial difficulties have consequences. Probably you will need to change radically your change of consumption, your change of life. So that's why I tell you to think wisely about this whole thing. If it's for your business, think wisely what you do, what effect it has on your relatives, what effect it has on your family close to you. So be wise and see you can manage. If you are not yet at the Saturnal point, or not yet on the point that you are going to hit the wall, but you still have financial worries, it tells you that you need to modify immediately some of your behaviors. If you do so, you will not hit the wall. This is what this card also, but this is like the last warning signal. This is like stop. You need to reflect on your current situation and for all involved or that will be involved in this situation. The next card, that's why I'm mentioning here already, because I already saw the card next to it. That's why I mentioned here the love. There will be people next to you that are close to you, and I see they are close to you and they love you. They represent partners, children, friends, relatives that are close to us. People who want to show your affection to them. But the problem is, maybe because of this difficult situation, you cannot spoil them as you used to be because of the hard time that you're enduring. Maybe there will be less takeout dinners. But what this card actually represents is that their feelings towards you are not changed. If somebody's birthday is coming up, they understand the situation that you're in now. If it's related to business, they are aware. Even children feel the difficulties of the situation. Don't think that children don't feel the situation that you are in, because they do. They don't expect you to buy them expensive gifts if you have a difficult time now. What they do expect of you is that you make time for them. Even if you need to arrange a lot of things to put yourself on the right path, give them time in private. Spend time together, do small things together, prepare a small meal together, a small festivity. It don't need to cost a lot of money. You just show your interest and your value to them, your time, and you don't need to show your money. This is what this card tells. The best memories we gather, even in very difficult circumstances, we remember that the people close to us, they cherished us. We will go back later on when we have better times to those anecdotes, and we will remember them for the rest of our lives. We will not remember them for the present they did not give. We will not. So this card tells you to be gentle with yourself and see the positive impact that will come for all of it. People don't love you for your finances. They love you for the depth of your relationship with them and the time that you invest in them. So this was a more heavy card reading for the sign of Aries if you belong to this group. Thank you to the Shell group for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you do so, please subscribe. Thank you for watching and see you next time.